Joining. Welcome, everyone. Starting to get a good group. We will have the chat available if people want to introduce themselves at all. Otherwise, it will be open for comments and questions as well. And then we will get started here in a couple minutes. Morning again. Lots of familiar names and photos. I have never been tech savvy enough to figure out how to get my photo to pop up on Zoom. So I am impressed with all of you photo people. We'll just give it one more minute while we get a few more folks joining, and then we will get started. All right. Well, we're almost to 50 folks. So, to honor all of your time and just kind of jump in today, we'll get started. First, I want to thank Mai from our team who has helped host us and is letting everyone in from the waiting room and got us kind of set up here today. And Emily and our team who made the slides. And we're just thrilled to be with you all and talk about really an exciting change for the food group, which is that we have really expanded our programming in the last couple of months and are doing some new and unique things to better carry out our mission. So really thank you all for being here and excited to talk more about that today. So a lot of you are familiar likely with the food group, but for those who might not be, I just wanted to give a really brief overview. Our mission is fighting hunger and nourishing the community. We've been around since 1976, and up until March, we really had three core function areas of hunger relief, affordable grocery, and then our farmer education program at Big River Farms. But very excited to add the advocacy bubble to our graphic today and talk a little bit more about how that is showing up in our work here in the last several months. So As of March, we joined forces with Hunger Solutions. Hunger Solutions Minnesota has been a statewide organization serving Minnesota for a long time, doing a lot of policy work, but also a lot of really important statewide programs to make sure that everyone in Minnesota gets access to food with a real value that food is a human right. And we had the opportunity to think about coming together. Hunger Solutions experienced a leadership change. Colleen Moriarty, their longtime executive director, retired. And there were so many deep partnerships between the organizations and so much alignment between our values and approach that it just, as we started talking about it just felt more and more exciting. And what it really positions the food group to do differently is think about how we can better embed systems change, which has long been a value of our organizations, into our work, expanding to a statewide footprint in the ways that we support food shelves and participants through the helpline. And then also thinking about this really important work of advocacy, but how good advocacy needs to be so driven by on-the-ground trends, participant feedback, just that really important link between public policy and programming. So those are all things we're really excited about thinking through and operationalizing here in the coming months. And one of the drivers of this decision for us is also recognizing that we are in a period of really challenging trends on the food shelf side of our work. So in 2023, there was a record number of food shelf visits, 2 million up from the year prior, which is remarkable, as you can see from this graph. And now, because Hunger Solutions programming now is embedded in the food group and we track food shelf visits on a monthly basis, we know that 2024 is tracking 40% higher than that record year. And so for us, it was clear it is the time for new solutions. We're going to have to be creative. We're going to have to think a little bit more expansively about some more sustainable ways to meet these really dramatic community needs. The other thing that is true is this has been the food group's theory of change for a long time. And as you can see, systems change and kind of creating a just and equitable food system has been in our value scheme for a really long time. So really, it has been this amazing moment where the work that Hunger Solutions has done for many years and done so well was really so aligned with how we believe that change happens within our food system here in Minnesota. And it also fit with our strategic goals, which I won't go into at length. Some people love strategic goals. If you want to talk more about them, I would be happy to. But what we heard from community members as we've engaged people from Twin Cities Mobile Market and Fair for All customers to food shelf participants, we continue to hear that people understand that advocacy and public policy is a real driver in their lives and that we need to be thinking both programmatically and systemically as we do this work together. So as you can see, we really have now added another core area to our approach, understanding that all of these areas, whether it's our affordable grocery work, our support of food shelf partners, many of whom are on the call today. So thank you all for taking time out of your busy work to join us, or our farmer education work. Advocacy is in the mix, and that they're all going to communicate really with each other. All of them will inform, all the programming will inform what we do from an advocacy lens, and vice versa. There'll be a lot of opportunities for folks to engage with the public policy work. So I wanted to just kind of give an overview of what is exciting for us about this coming together. It's been really fun. We've even had some moments in the last month where this has really happened, whether it was getting to have some of our fabulous Big River Farms farmers testify for the Agriculture Committee. It was already, we've seen ways that our teams are working together to really amplify the voices that need to be involved in making big decisions solutions at the Capitol. So what I am really also excited to do is introduce Rachel Holmes. She is the Director of Community Engagement and Advocacy. So she was part of the Hunger Solutions team, and now we're thrilled to have her on staff at the food group. And she's going to walk us through some high-level updates on the new programs that now are part of the food group after March 1st. So Rachel, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Sophia. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Holmes, and like Sophia mentioned, I'm the new Director of Advocacy and Community Engagement here at the Food Group. Prior to us joining forces, I served as the Associate Director at Hunger Solutions, where I worked for nearly 9 years. So I'm very excited today to tell you a little bit about these program areas that are now program areas of the Food Group. So the first one we're going to talk about today is the Minnesota Food Helpline. The Minnesota Food Helpline, it's a statewide food resource hotline that connects individuals with food resources in their area. We primarily serve individuals who want a little bit more information about the SNAP program. And for those of you who might not be familiar, SNAP is the program that was formerly known as food stamps. And it's a really incredibly effective program to help lift people out of poverty and put food on their table. It's estimated that for every $1 that the emergency food system of food banks and food shelves provides, SNAP can help provide. So it's a really critical resource that we have to help people who are facing food insecurity. So on the helpline, we can provide over to see if you would be eligible for the program. We can help with application assistance, filling out even the application over the phone directly. We can also find any local immediate resources in your area, like a food shelf, a farmer's market that might accept SNAP, a discounted grocery and retail program, a free meal that might be in your area. And then aside from SNAP, we can also see if you would be eligible for a variety of other assistance programs like childcare assistance, medical assistance, the energy assistance program, and such. I think what's really special about the Minnesota Food Helpline is that when individuals do call us, they don't wait on hold or speak to a robot. We have 2 really incredible live helpline representatives that answer each call, and they take each call with a lot of care and dignity. So last year, we had over 15,000 calls to the helpline. I think it's really important to note too that that is 3 times as many calls that we would receive in 2019. So call volume has just continued to remain really high post-pandemic as people are still kind of reeling from the economic effects of COVID-19 and dealing with record high food prices and inflation. Of those 15,000 calls, nearly a third of those were due to a program that we have called SNAP RX. SNAP RX is our partnership program with healthcare clinics and hospital facilities. So patients who might be experiencing some food insecurity, they get referred directly from their healthcare providers to our helpline associates. And our helpline team reaches out right to those patients to ask what needs they have and find out a little bit more about how we can directly help them. We received nearly 4,000 SNAP-RX calls last year, and that's almost 2,000 more than we did the year prior. So that program is really continuing to grow and evolve. More and more healthcare systems are getting involved in anti-hunger and anti-food insecurity work. So it's really great to see that program kind of take off. So the next program that we'll talk about today is Market Bucks. And Market Bucks is a SNAP incentive program that really helps individuals who are enrolled in that SNAP program stretch their benefit amount even further. And we do that by providing a 2-for-1 match on all SNAP spending at the farmer's market. So essentially what that means is that for every $1 that an individual spends in SNAP at their farmer's market, they receive an additional $2. So for example, if someone on SNAP visits one of our participating farmer's market locations and they spend $10 in their EBT, they would receive a total of $30 to shop for SNAP eligible foods, fresh local vegetables and fruits at their farmer's market. This year, we have 107 different farmers markets that are participating in this program statewide. We have 33 different Fare for All locations that also accept Market Bucks, and 25 Twin Cities mobile market locations where you can use Market Bucks as well. So it has a really incredible impact statewide. Last year, there was nearly 50,000 SNAP transactions at the farmers markets and the retailers that we work with to accept Market Bucks, which led to over $50,000 in SNAP spending and over $600,000 in Market Bucks spent. And we do love to call this program a triple win, because not only is it obviously very impactful for people who are enrolled in SNAP and could really use that extra help to put food on their tables, but it's a great added income for our local farmers and our growers. And then it's also a really fantastic program for community and for the economy in general. Last year alone, it's estimated that the program created about $1.7 million in economic impact statewide. All right, and then the next program we're going to share about today is a statewide program that's dedicated to building up the capacity of food shelves. And that is through the Minnesota Food Shelf Program, that's also referred to as MFSP. So the Minnesota Food Shelf Program is a state-funded grant program that we help administer in partnership with our friends at the Minnesota Department of Human Services. And we distribute grants to food shelves across the state with this funding. So last year, we helped distribute 273 grants totaling $4.25 million distributed. And these grants are available to our food shelf partners to spend on really any expense that they have directly related to getting food out to their communities. So, it can be used to purchase food, it can be used for personnel and salaries, it can be used on transportation expenses if they need to purchase a new vehicle for distribution efforts. They can also purchase like really critical key equipment like refrigerators and freezers. So any of those expenses that kind of directly relate to helping them in their distribution of food. The MFSP grants, that grant amount is determined by the number of visits that each food shelf has in a calendar year. So another part of our food shelf capacity work, as Sophia had mentioned earlier, is to collect and analyze statewide food shelf visit data. So each month, our food shelf partners report into the food group their monthly statistics of how many people they serve, how many visits they've had, who's coming to the food shelf, what age range, things like that. And that allows us to really keep track of food shelf visit trends that Sophia had talked about earlier. And it also just kind of allows us to keep a finger on the pulse of what's happening on the ground and get like a really good insight into the state of hunger in Minnesota, which ends up being actually a really fantastic tool for our next program area, and that is for our advocacy work. So I'd say for about the last 20 years or so, Hunger Solutions Minnesota was really kind of seen as the leading anti-hunger voice at the state capitol. And now as a combined organization, the food group acts as chair of the Partners to End Hunger Coalition. So the Partners to End Hunger is a coalition of 30-some different organizations that all come together to determine which policies will be most impactful for people experiencing food insecurity, issues to really raise up at that state legislature level, and how we can kind of support each organization in getting some of these public policy priorities passed. This year, we're still kind of reeling from a really historic legislative session last year. As everyone knows, we're still celebrating the triumphant win of passing universal school meals in Minnesota. But this year, some of our current policy priorities were more about making some improvements to SNAP, kind of lifting up that benefit minimum amount that people receive, making it easier for college students to become eligible for SNAP, securing a little bit more funding for our food banks and food shelves throughout the state, and some kind of not as huge successes as universal school meals, but really impactful policies that will go a long way in the long run. So yeah, that's a little program areas, and I'll turn it back over to Sophia to talk a little bit more about what that means and impact.
Thank you, Rachel. We are so grateful for you and just a fabulous Hunger Solutions staff who have all joined the food group. So it's not every day that you get to add 8 really incredible experts in their fields to the team. And I know it's been a really pleasure for all of us to get to work together and think together about how we can most effectively carry out our mission. So kind of with that, wanted to share a little bit about looking ahead and what's coming up. And first of all, none of what's coming up will be possible without many of you on the call. So thank you. I know we have partners, we have food shelf folks, we have funders, we have folks from DHS on the call. So it really is going to take all of us to think about what's next. But some of the highlights for us at the food group as we think about next steps are really thinking through centering community voice in our advocacy work. So having this opportunity to have our fabulous brand new propane powered Twin Cities mobile market buses that are going out to sites all the time, and participants on the Twin Cities mobile market, they have a real sense of what's happening from a grocery landscape and what their budgets are, and a lot of seniors who are on fixed income. So how do we engage those folks to really think about what are some policy needs that we can think about for next session? How do we engage our volunteer base to really help amplify some of these messages and engage and mobilize? So really, again, thinking through how we can build those bridges between programming and policy, how we can really continue to engage with our Big River Farms farmers to think about what are some policies that we could think through to support them. And again, just this really important mix of public policy work, program impact, ultimately to make everyone's life easier and bring more equity into the food system. We're also very excited about the statewide impact and getting to build some relationships with food shelf partners in greater Minnesota. The food group historically has been more in the greater metro area because that's where we can distribute food, and that will still be the area that we can distribute food to food shelf partners, but very excited to do site visits and understand data trends at this statewide level so that we can really think about what that means from a more systematic perspective, and understanding that rural hunger issues are critically important, and how we can continue to really lift up voices and make sure that that's represented in some of the statewide work that we are doing and leading. The other piece that is statewide and I think so critical and important is the helpline, like Rachel mentioned. And so understanding, what are trends in statewide? What are some counties that maybe don't have the resources they need? Where are we getting calls from folks who just don't have what it's going to take to get through the month? And how can we continue to raise those issues up and think strategically with all of our partners about how to make better access options truly in every county in the state? And lastly, really, again, about data trends and thinking through what they tell us. Data is always complicated. I know I've had conversations with many folks recently just about like, how are the numbers going up in the way that they are? How is this possible? Or what does this mean? And I think, food shelf usage numbers are really interesting because you can't even say if it's bad or good if they go up, because it's great if they go up because folks who were falling through the cracks or weren't getting the service that they need are getting service, or our fabulous food shelf partners, right, are expanding their offerings or reaching more folks. That's really good news story. It's obviously not good news that this many folks are not able to make ends meet without the support of the food shelf system. And so trying to continue unpacking the data, being in collaboration with many of you about what do the trends mean and how might we meet the moment is something that we will continue to do together moving forward. And lastly, just continuing really to think about this holistic approach. The food group has always worked across the food system in farming, in retail, and in hunger relief. And so thinking about our policy and advocacy work really crossing those sectors and continuing to think through what are our leverage points for short-term wins and longer-term wins, and how do we continue to communicate and mobilize together, all while centralizing, right, the folks who are understanding the most about the system, which is the folks who it's not serving right now. So that is a little overview of kind of what's next, but we did want to leave a couple minutes for questions as well. So if anyone has a question they want to ask in the chat, please feel free. Or if someone finds it easier to just ask and unmute, that is an option too. But we've got time for a couple questions, if anyone has them. Maybe it's a little gloomy this morning, and that is fair too. I'm still waiting for my coffee to fully kick in. Um, I think the main thing that I would say is that the food group fully understands that we cannot do any of this work without partnership. And so I look forward to continuing to engage with many of you on this call. And if folks have ideas or things that you're seeing, please let us know. Oh, here are a couple questions in the chat too. Yes, Fair for All is still going. So any of the programs that the food group has historically operated, Fair for All, Twin Cities Mobile Market, our food sourcing for food shelves, those will all continue. We just wanted this morning to spend a little time talking about the new programs that have come into the organization as of March 1st. But yes, this is all in addition to the work that has been happening. And then another question is around data sharing and how might we be sharing that data externally. I think absolutely we plan to continue to share that. I know historically Hunger Solutions has done some annual reports on the data. We will continue to do that in partnership with the Department of Human Services. But we will also, I think about other ways that data could be used, and excited to hear from food shelf partners too on how the data can be most helpful and be sliced and diced. So absolutely, it feels like a really important piece of this work to communicate on the data, make sense of the data, look at the trends. And we will hopefully be in partnership with many of you to keep doing that. So if you have other questions, please reach out to anyone on our team. But I'm going to turn it over to Emily to kind of close us out here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us. We so appreciate that you all are tuning in. Grateful for your support. Many of you are partners and donors and support this work already, and we couldn't do it without you. We did want to close with sharing some ways that you can get involved. We have lots of volunteer opportunities, especially going into this time of year. We have seasonal volunteer opportunities, so we would love to talk with you more about that and plug you in, packing and sorting food in our warehouse. But we also have farmers market, food reclamation, where we're working with farmers on excess produce and then getting those to local food shelves, as well as gleaning and opportunities to go out to Big River Farms to volunteer. So we would love to have your support. Donate. Our work is powered by donations and volunteer time. So thank you for considering giving a gift. And if you already support our work, thank you. And then advocate. So you can sign up for action alerts at this link, and then Rachel just dropped it in the chat too. And you can use your voice to advocate for a better food system, for anti-hunger, and for supporting local farmers. So we'd love to have you sign up for that as well. And then Hunger Day on the Hill is in March every year. So we would love to have you come to that this next year. That is historically, Hunger Solutions has led that for many years. So now a part of the food group, as well as Rising Tides, is an event that Hunger Solutions has had to celebrate legislative wins, and we will have it in September again. So mark your calendar for September 17th. We'd love to have you there. And then we also do virtual food drives. You can buy from our farmers at Big River Farms. They have lots of different markets. Support our events and follow us on social and check out our website. But we'd love to talk with you more if you have questions or want to get involved in different ways. But thank you again for tuning in and Zooming with us. We so appreciate your support, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Everybody, thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, everybody.